Hello everyone, welcome back to my GH Spoiler channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. General Hospital, today's full episode, March 11th, 2026. Drew's 6 words left Alexis completely speechless. Port Charles has seen its share of bombshells, betrayals, and jaw-dropping confrontations over the decades, but what unfolded inside the halls of General Hospital on Tuesday, March 11, 2026, may go down as one of the most emotionally charged episodes in recent memory. And it all came down to 6 words that Drew Cain looked Alexis Davis dead in the eye and said out loud. The morning that changed everything. It started innocuously enough. The sun was barely cresting over the harbor when Alexis arrived at the invader offices, double espresso in hand, determined to keep her head down and focus on the paper's upcoming investigative piece on hospital billing fraud. She'd been riding a quiet streak, no courtroom drama, no family catastrophe, no romantic implosion. For Alexis Davis, that kind of peace is always borrowed time. She hadn't expected Drew to be there. He was standing at the glass partition near the conference room, tie loosened, jacket draped over one arm like a man who hadn't slept. When their eyes met, something shifted in the room, the kind of charged silence that longtime General Hospital fans have learned to read like a weather system rolling in off the water. "We need to talk," Drew said. Alexis set down her coffee. "Those are never good words coming from you." "I know," he exhaled slowly, "but these ones are worse." The fallout from last week. To understand why Tuesday's episode hit so hard, you have to go back to what happened last week when a leaked document connected Drew's holding company, Cain Capital, to a series of shell transactions that funneled money through a medical research fund, the very fund Alexis had been exposing in her paper. She'd run the story without knowing Drew's name was buried 3 layers deep in the financial chain. The story went live on Friday. By Monday morning, Drew's attorneys were on the phone with the invaders' legal team. Alexis had spent the weekend staring at her ceiling, replaying every conversation she'd had with her source, wondering if she'd been played, wondering if he had played her, or worse, if he hadn't even known himself. Tuesday was always going to be a reckoning. Inside the conference room. The door clicked shut. Drew didn't sit. He paced the length of the room once, twice, then stopped and turned to face her. What followed was nearly 8 minutes of unbroken, masterfully written dialogue, the kind that General Hospital rarely deploys without payoff. Drew laid it all out. Yes, he'd known about the fund. No, he hadn't known where the money was going. He'd trusted a financial advisor, a man named Theo Kowalski, who the SEC is now quietly investigating. Drew had been tipped off 3 days before Alexis ran her story. "And you didn't call me," Alexis said. Her voice was quiet, quieter than Drew expected. "I thought I could fix it before it became a story." "That's not your call to make." She stood up. "I'm a journalist, Drew. I'm not your press secretary. I'm not your—" "I know what you are, Alexis." She stopped. He looked at her, really looked at her, and said the 6 words, "I need you to trust me." Across social media, the clip of that moment is already being dissected with the level of forensic attention usually reserved for Supreme Court decisions, because context is everything in Port Charles, and those 6 words carry the weight of everything these 2 characters have been through. Alexis Davis does not trust easily. She has loved men who lied to her, stood by men who destroyed her, rebuilt herself from the ground up more times than anyone in this fictional universe should reasonably have to. She went to prison, she lost her law license, she crawled back from alcoholism on sheer stubborn will. She built the invader into something that mattered. And Drew Kane, a man who was cloned, imprisoned, manipulated by a shadow organization, used as a political weapon, and still somehow manages to show up every morning with the earnest decency of someone who hasn't learned that Port Charles eats people like him alive, is asking her to trust him. The audacity, the nerve, the absolute gall. And yet, Alexis didn't speak for a full 12 seconds. The camera held on her face. No score, no cutaway. Just Nancy Lee Grant doing what Nancy Lee Grant does, communicating an internal war with the stillness of her eyes. What happens after the silence? When Alexis finally responded, she didn't say yes, she didn't say no. She said, "Show me the documents, Drew. All of them. Every transaction, every name, every date. If you're telling me the truth, it'll be in the paper. And if you're lying to me, I'm not. If you're lying to me," she repeated, stepping closer, "I will burn it all down, including you, especially you." Drew held her gaze. "I know." The scene cut to commercial, and viewers collectively lost their minds. Elsewhere in Port Charles, while Drew and Alexis were detonating the morning, the rest of the hospital was keeping pace. Over at GH itself, Willow received preliminary results from a clinical trial she had secretly enrolled in. Her doctor's expression told viewers everything before a single word was spoken. Across town, Sony Corinthance was meeting with a mysterious woman who arrived on the Port Charles docks with nothing but a duffel bag and a name that made Sony's enforcer visibly pale. And in a subplot that has been quietly building for 6 weeks, Spencer and Trina made a decision about their future that will clearly explode in the season's back half. But make no mistake, Tuesday belonged to Alexis and Drew. What comes next? Wednesday's preview teases a confrontation between Drew and the actual architect of the shell fund scheme, and it appears the trail leads somewhere too close to home. Kane Capital's board includes at least one name that longtime viewers will recognize immediately, and the implications for both the Quarterman legacy and Alexis's paper are seismic. Meanwhile, Alexis is shown at her desk late at night, a glass of sparkling water at her elbow, not wine, a deliberate visual choice the show has used before to signal that she is under maximum pressure and choosing, consciously, to stay clear, surrounded by financial documents. She picks up her phone, dials, waits. "We need to meet," she says to whoever answers, "tonight." The screen goes dark. The verdict. Tuesday's episode was General Hospital at its absolute best, character-driven, emotionally precise, and powered by performances that remind you why this show has been on for over 60 years. 6 words, 12 seconds of silence, and a newsroom that suddenly feels like the most dangerous place in Port Charles. Do not miss Wednesday. Whatever Alexis found in those documents is going to change everything.